Hello Block of the Month subscribers, and welcome to your first video how-to tutorial thing. I thought I would add these in for you guys because I know patterns can be really tricky to read by yourself. Everyone speaks differently, everybody writes differently, and everybody learns differently, and sometimes it's really good to just see it. Especially with something like a toile, there's a couple of bits that are potentially a bit tricky, so I thought a visual would be really helpful in addition to the pictures. So what I'm going to take you through this month is the flower in the middle. If you look really closely at the photo in the pattern, you'll see that it's overlocked, and then at the end it's under, so it's a perfect flower. So I'm just going to take you through the way I did that and how I created that effect, basically. I'm not a user of glue or adhesive spray when I applique. Feel free to use it for the big circle and for the pink Liberty bit. I appreciate it's harder to do needle turn and pin everything down when you're using larger bits. But for the flowers especially, you should just need a pin. So yeah, let's get started. All right, so I will not be using the same fabrics as you guys, as I only have a limited amount and it's all with you. So pretend this is the same. This background fabric is going to be your pink Liberty. Now what I've done is I've ironed it in half and in half again, and I've also marked it in the center to make sure that we have all of the flowers coming from the same place. I use a BOM pencil, which I love. They're chalk based, and you rub it with a bit of water and the lines come out, so you don't have to worry about seeing it later. So what I did was, I am using my pins, and I put my pin through the very corner of my leaf, and then I make sure that the other side of the pin is going right through the center of that. Now I hold my leaf there, and I make sure that the other corner is in line with the folded line, which means that my leaf is going to be perfectly straight up and down. So I will then put in another pin as well, just to make sure that doesn't move when I sew it. All right, great. So I will be using needle turn applique. And what I've done is I start just near the base. So you've got a 1 inch circle that you're going to put over the top of this. So you want to make sure that you're close enough to the point that the 1 inch circle will cover the your starting point of sewing, but not so close that you're actually in the point. So we hold that there. I'll take that out just because it gets in the way. You fold it there and just make sure that your point is aligned with the center mark that you've marked, sorry, and then you do your needle turn applique all the way around. Now I know it's called needle turn applique, but sometimes I will cheat a little bit and I'll just roll it over with my fingers and press it down, and this helps just get a bit of a longer line, and it's not so fiddly if you do struggle with your needle to turn it down. And then you can just fix it up as you go with your needle. So as you get to your point, make sure you go all the way up to the corner as marked with your pencil. I will remove the pin at this point so I don't prick myself. Now what I do is I flip that corner in as far down as I can, and I pull that there, and then I will flip that under. Now with needle turn applique and using small points like this, I have a seam allowance that's slightly less than 1/4 inch. This just helps to reduce the bulk. For larger pieces, it's fine to have the full 1/4 inch, but the less bulk you have at the point, the nicer your points are going to be. So I'll just show you that a bit more closely. There you go. With bad lighting, my production values are poor, but they will get better. So we then carry on around. There's my little cheat trick again. Now, what I'm actually going to do is finish off here and leave the rest of it undone. And this is because what I want to do at the end is get the other leaf to sit under here. So obviously if I sewed that down now, I wouldn't be able to get that effect. So that's all you have to do with the first one. You want to start close to the point, go right the way out, and then just down a little bit. And then we finish it off at the back. I do a few knots. And then I nip that thread, and there we go. So now we're going to start the second leaf, and you want to do the same thing as you did before. You put your pin through the corner, and you want to put it directly into the middle. And then you want to line it up at a, oh, what's that, a 45-degree angle. There you go. And then we hold it down with a second pin. Now this will be the same. You want to start not right at the point. Leave it a bit free, maybe a quarter of an inch away from there. Do my little cheat trick. Remove the pin, line it up. Now don't stress too much if this point is a little bit messy, because remember, we have a really lovely circle to go over the top that will hide all of it later. Okay, so we've gone all the way around the leaf and we're coming to the end, and you'll see how this blue one goes slightly over my cream one, and yours should do the same. It's not a lot, but it's enough to get the effect. And then what we want to do is, once again, I'm not going to finish it off. So I just turn all of that under and I keep it there like so. And I sew as close down to the point as I can, like so. And then I'm going to finish it off. Now again, the reason for doing this is to reduce the bulk. When I flatten that out, when I iron it, that's gonna not be too many layers of fabric, which means when you put your circle on, it won't be puffy, it won't be too puffy, but it will hide any rough edges and look great. All right, so once we have gone right the way around, yours should look something like this. Now, I am being a little bit cheeky. I cut off the corners. Make sure you don't nip any of your stitches, just to reduce the bulk a little bit and to make sure that it's easy to manipulate the next and final one under there. So, you get your point and you mark it through the center, which is ever so slightly more tricky to find now, but a good solid thereabout guess is good. Then we get your other pin and nip it down. Now we're going to take this one out, and what we want to do is start there as we did with all the others, just near the point but not quite on the point. Needle doesn't want to go through. There we go. Now what we're going to do here is lift up this first one and make sure that we're sewing this underneath it. So make sure it's right out of the way. It is a little bit fiddly. Make sure you don't nick it at all when you go under. Okay, and then okay, and then all right, and then we're going to cut that flat corner off again, just to reduce the bulk. We'll come up on our very first petal, just next to where we left off, and we will finish sewing that one down. All right, and there you have it. And that is all ready for you to put your circle paper piece on top. All right guys, that is your first tutorial. Hopefully it was helpful and not too confusing. If you do have any questions, please just shoot me an email or DM me on Instagram or call the shop, and I can help chat you through it. And yeah, that's everything. So looking forward to seeing you again in month 2, which is simpler, don't worry. Bye.